yes, my real name is Zen. That is the name that I was born with, believe it or not. I'll get into the story of my name some other time. Just for the sake of time, I will just jump right into my presentation. So I support female solopreneurs, leaders, and high performers to be their best selves, whatever that looks like in their lives. And I'm a coffee lover, an avid reader, and a personal development addict. Personal development is something that I've been doing since I was in the womb. At least that's what I believe. And it's literally my hobby. It's been my hobby for the longest time. It's grown beyond a hobby into a passion and literally into my life work. I love seeing people transform. I love seeing people overcome their challenges, their blockages, and I love closing the gap between where people currently are and where they want to be in their lives. That is literally my bread and butter. So today we're looking at emotional mastery, what emotional mastery is about, and how you can have more emotional mastery in your life. So I know the weather is really cold right now. It's overcast and raining in Joburg. I don't know where you're at in South Africa and the world, but just because it's cold and it's rainy doesn't mean that we're going to stop, right? We're going to bring our A game. We're going to bring the energy up. You are the passion. You are the magic. And no matter what the weather is like, we can always be our best selves. Because I know that when things tend to get cold, people put on layers. We start putting on jerseys. We start to close ourselves off, not just physically, but emotionally as well. So my invitation to you today is that, are you willing to play with me just for this hour, Are you willing to play with me at a level 10, where 10 is you're giving your all, you're not being distracted by Instagram or any other tabs open, right? You're giving this your full attention, your full effort, because whatever you put into this, I guarantee you, you will get back multitudes in return. So can I just see the chat there? Are you guys willing to play with me at a level 10? If you are, just type in 10 or unmute yourself and just shout out 10. And then I know that I'm ready to go rock and roll.
10.
10, fantastic. Light up that chat, guys. I'm fine with everything. The only things are my self-esteem. This is a little confession I'm making. My self-esteem is so low. The only thing that keeps my self-esteem high is when I see that chat box lit up. So as this presentation is going, just light up the chat, guys. Ask questions. I want you to participate. I want you to unmute yourselves and shout out the answer. Because when you shout out the answer and participate, it drives the learning deeper into you. Right? So yes or yes, are you? Yes, I see the chat box lit up. You got this then, fantastic. 1000% from Heartless Nation. That's what we're looking for. Let's go first, right? And we're all leaders and we're all achievers here, because you wouldn't be on this call if you weren't. So fantastic. Right, emotional mastery. This workshop is for me too, right? Not because I've got some kind of problem, but I'm a human being as well. And I'll never be above my message as a coach. The point that I'm above my message and the point that I cannot relate to whatever it is that I'm teaching is the point that I should stop teaching that thing. I've always got room to improve. I've also always got room to grow as an individual. And that's why even if there was nobody else on this workshop, I would still do it, because I need to also hear this. Learning is remembering. I think Socrates said that. Learning is remembering, and you can never get to the point where you know everything. And it means even going back to the basics and relearning some of those things, right? So it's me as well. Above, I'm not from the mountaintops. I had the privilege of coaching high performers, coaching some really interesting achievers across different fields, and learn these high performers perform and how these high performers show up in their relationships, how they show up in their lives, how they show up in relationship with themselves. And this is going to be so insightful for you if you are going to play along. Now, how do you feel right now as I'm talking to you? Right now, where you're seated, how do you feel? Just type it out in the chat box. Do you feel a little bit apprehensive? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel calm? Do you feel excited? Just shout out one word. How do you feel right now? And if you don't have a notebook with you or a piece of paper, just quickly go and grab that, because there's going to be a little bit of stuff that you're going to be writing as you go along. So just quickly look, even if it's just a random piece of paper, it doesn't matter. I just want you to jot down the insights that you get from this training. So how do you feel right now? I see one message, calm, from Alicia. Fantastic. How else do you feel, guys? Come on, light up that chat box. I'm going to call you out otherwise. I'm good having tea. Fantastic. I got my coffee right here. Okay, and just get a sense of where you're at in your emotions in your body right now. And I want you to look at how you feel at the end of the session and see if there's been a shift. If you've gone deeper into whatever you're feeling right now, or if whatever you're feeling right now is not something that you wanted to feel, how that has changed. Because you're going to be learning how to change your emotions as you go along. Excited as well, fantastic. So if you have your piece of paper, what I want you to do is write down how you feel in an average week. What are the emotions that you feel in an average week? So get a piece of paper and make a line down the middle. On the left side, you're going to write down all the empowering emotions that you feel. All the empowering emotions that you feel. So if you feel excited, if you ever feel calm, if you ever feel confident, if you feel that even once or twice in a week, write that down. And on the other side, I want you to write down all the disempowering emotions that you feel. So if you feel frustrated, if you feel stressed, if you feel angry, if you feel anxious, and those are emotions that you feel on an ongoing basis, write all those down. I'll give you just a couple of minutes because you should more or less have a sense of where you're at. So just quickly jot that down. Empowering emotions that you feel in an average week and the disempowering emotions that you feel. And if you don't have a piece of paper with you, you can just go through this in your head and say it verbally, because this is going to give you a basis of where you're at on average. Is it something that's empowering or is it something that's disempowering? Because right now, you might be feeling really calm coming off Hospice Nyakiza session, and sometimes you end up lying to yourselves like, this is how I feel all the time. But then think of tomorrow. Tomorrow's Monday. I don't know what's going on with you on Monday. Think of the week and the things that you have to do. Is it stuff that excites you? Do you feel like you're empowered to handle those things, or do you feel some kind of apprehension? Just jot that down real quick. So typically, this is what I usually get with people. The empowering emotions that they have, it's not usually that many. They'll usually have 2 or 3 things when I do this exercise with people. They'll usually have something like calmness, happiness, and a little bit of excitement. But the disempowering emotions, for most people, I don't know where yours were at. They usually have way more disempowering emotions than they usually have empowering emotions. So on disempowering emotions, it's usually very easy for them to pick up, to think of them as well. It's not something that they have to really sift through their minds. Whereas empowering emotions, they have to really go through the recesses of their mind, like, did I feel this anything positive at all? Whereas disempowering emotions usually come much quicker. And what I've found, this may or may not be true for you, is that people tend to have more disempowering emotions during the week or any given time than they usually have empowering emotions. So this is just an example of empowering and disempowering emotions that you may or may not feel. Happiness, contentment, love, creativity, forgiveness. Whereas disempowering emotions, frustration, fear, confusion, irritation, embarrassment that you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing, overwhelmed, down, anxious, stressed, lost, or just jealous, right? Feeling a little bit of envy there. So why did I make you go through this exercise first? Because the emotions that you feel on a day-to-day basis become your emotional home. So what is your emotional home? Is your emotional home something that's empowering, or is it something that is disempowering for you? I'm not going to ask you to put this in the chat box. I'll keep that private. But for yourself, get a sense of that. Is it something that's empowering for you? Is it something that is uplifting? Is it something that's energizing? Do you feel up most of the time? Or is your emotional home very down? Is it very heavy? Is it filled with lots of emotional weight that is not empowering for you? And what's your flavor as well in terms of your emotional home? Is it stress? Is it anger? Is it worry and fear? Or is it happiness? Why do I keep talking about this emotional home? Because everybody has one. Everybody has one. And think about this. Don't you know some people, either in your relationships or your life or at work, who have this emotional home of, let me put it this way, we all find a way of getting to our emotional home no matter what is going on in the world. We all find a way to get there. Happy people will find a way to get happy no matter what's going on. They can be at a funeral and they'll find something to laugh about, right? They'll crack a joke. They're just that type of person. I'm sure you know people like that. Maybe you are the person. Angry people will find something to get angry about no matter what. It can be a birthday party, a celebration. They'll find something to get angry about. Like, what's up with you? We all find a way to get there. People that are grateful will find a way to be grateful about something. People that are joyous will find something to be joyful about, right? Everybody has an emotional home. And what is your emotional home? Is it a home that really empowers you? Why do I keep going about this? It's your life. If everything is going well in your life and you're sad, frustrated, and angry, it doesn't matter if you have R1,000,000 in the bank account, your life is sad, frustrated, and angry. If everything's not going well in your life, but you're courageous, you're calm, you're optimistic, then no matter what's going on the outside, your life becomes courageous, calm, and optimistic. You create the experience of your life. And just as the weather right now is all cold and it's becoming overcast and it's raining a bit, we don't have to be controlled by the outside circumstances in terms of how we feel on the inside. We can carry our own emotional weather with us. We don't have to look outside of the social weather and say, is that person happy or sad today? Therefore, that's going to determine whether or not I'm going to be happy or sad. You get to build your own emotional home and you get to carry your weather wherever you go. And you can be the person that walks into the room, as Nyaki was saying, and you light up the room. We know people like that. And there's people who walk into the room and it just goes, and they suck up all the air and everyone's suffocating, right? We know people like that. No, don't mention the names in the chat, guys. So let's keep it private. What is your emotional home? And get a sense of where you're at. And what I'll be looking at today is how to shift that, how to shift your emotions and how to master your emotions so that you can feel however it is that you want to feel, no matter what is going on in the world. And really think about this. When you're in love, what is wrong in the world? Absolutely nothing. Just unmute yourselves and make the sound of what it feels like when you're in love. Come on, guys. Let me hear it. Make the sound of just being absolutely head over heels in love, where you just falling from the sky in this free fall. Come on, let's get it. I can tell it's been some time for some of you. Come on, guys, let me hear the sound of feeling in love. I'm just joking with you, but you can meet yourselves. When you're in love, there's absolutely nothing wrong in the world, right? Our house burnt down, it's fine. We're in love when we're young, right? A flat tire, oh my goodness, this one makes such a romantic story. He's changing my tires. Up until, it's been 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, or 60 years. I don't know how old you are. And what used to be before, oh, can you take out the trash? Oh, I'm taking out the trash. I'm in love. Now it's, can you take out the trash, or can you make me a cup of tea? Oh, don't look like a maid, or do look like a slave, kind of thing. Things have changed, right? We've changed our meaning of what that thing is. And if we can find ways, I'm not saying it has to be love, of just injecting that kind of joy, that kind of energy into our lives every day, that's what your life becomes. That's what your life becomes. You get to create this. How do you feel when you're winning in life? I don't mean winning in the sense that things are just happening that you're not controlling, but winning on your terms. When things are coming together on your terms and you're creating that, how do you feel when you feel grateful, when you feel grounded, when you feel calm, when you feel loving, when there's laughter and joy in your life? You can't be beat when you feel like that, right? Emotions are powerful resourceful states. And it's not something that you have to go outside and get or acquire by. It's something that you can give yourself right now. You can give yourself the gift of an empowered emotional state, because that affects literally everything in your life. It affects how you show up in your relationships. It affects how you solve problems. It affects how you approach your work. It literally affects everything. And if I ask you right now, why do you want the things that you want in your life? Why do you want the things that you want? Why do you want to have a loving relationship? Why do you want to get that new car? Why do you want to get the promotion? Why do you want your business to do so well? Right? Why do you want to lose that weight? It's simple, right? Because of how it'll make you feel at the end of the day. Our emotions drive our behavior. And we can find empowering emotions, and our behavior becomes even more driven. We're aligned rather than being pulled in different directions. When you're saying you want one thing, but you're being pulled in this other direction. When you're aligned, you're moving in one fluid motion. We create a new emotional home. We create this new center of gravity where we not only feel great for ourselves, but we can also give people the gift of an empowered emotional state by our very presence. So, okay, that's a lot of preamble there. Let's jump right into it. What's the first way that you can start to change your emotions just like that? And just before we even jump into that, make a note of this. How is it that you want to feel in your life? How is it that you would love to feel, or how you want to feel? Do you want to feel peaceful? Do you want to feel strong? What's an emotional state for you? Or even two emotional states that if you were in those emotional states on a regular basis, it will completely, and I mean completely, not just a little bit, but completely change everything for you. Is it more passion in your life? Is it more laughter? Is it feeling more joy? Do you want to feel more strong? Do you want to feel more peaceful? Do you want to feel more elegant? Do you want to feel centered, infinite? How do you want to feel? Be the words that I put here. However you want to feel. How do you want to feel? Because whenever you put that down, that's giving your mind, your body, your energy something to move towards, rather than just saying, I want to feel good. Let's actually make it real. How do you want to feel? So jot down 2 words of how you want to feel, and we'll jump in. In fact, rather than just saying it, I actually want to just write it out in the chat, or unmute yourself and say just 1 or 2 ways that you love to feel completely. So what's 1 or 2 ways, guys? I'm gonna call you out. No worries, Alicia. So since you just said sorry, what's 1 or 2 ways that you'd love to feel moving forward? Something for you to aim towards. I'm joking.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Infinite fulfilled. Fantastic, fantastic. All right. So the first way to change how we feel is just to be aware of this. We don't feel emotions, we do them. I'll say that again. We don't feel emotions. Emotions are not things that are outside there and they just happen to you like it's the weather. We actually create them within ourselves, depending on what it is that we do. So this is actually an empowering thing, because if we do emotions, that means that we can change our emotions. And the better we get at changing our emotions, the better it is to change, the easier it becomes. And the stronger that shift becomes for us, the more you do it over time. So you don't ever feel emotions. If you're feeling sad, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling worried or depressed, it's not because you're just feeling those things, it's because you're doing it. And because you're doing it, you can change it. Always remember that you're not feeling emotions, you're doing them. So how is it that we do our emotions? First one here, simple, Nyaki mentioned this already to some degree, is physiology, your physical body. What you do with your body, as you can see, I'm just moving up and down. I was jumping up and down before this recording started just to get my physiology up, right? What you do with your physical body, physiology is just your physical body, affects how you feel. So Nyaki mentioned things like exercise, meditation. So those are like more long-term things. Here, these are the things that you can do right now in the short term that will give an instant shift. So let's do an exercise right now. If you can unmute yourselves, this will be even easier. If you can't just write it in the chat. Think of a person that is depressed. Think of a person that is depressed. If I've got a person that's that, what's your posture like? Is your posture wide and open, or is it hunched over? What's your posture like?
Hunched over.
Hunched over, yeah. Right? What's your breathing like? Is it full into the belly, or is it very shallow?
Shallow. And quick.
Shallow, right? Are they looking up? You've got this wide gaze, or they're looking down, and it's like very narrow.
Looking down.
Looking down, isn't it? And what's your facial expression like? Is it like wide and up and tight, like they're using the muscles in their body on your face, or is it slack? Slack and relaxed.
Slack and strained.
Mm-hmm. And your voice, are you speaking like I am right now? It's up, it's a little bit fast. I know I'm speaking fast, guys. It's just because number one, I'm excited. Number two, I do want to get through this. But is your voice animated? Are there gestures moving around? Are they wide and expansive, or is it very sort of like arms crossed, voice is slow and soft?
I think very fast.
For depression, it'll be the opposite, right? They're not really that animated. Their physiology is more down. Mm-hmm. So I've got a challenge here. Look at how you're sitting. I can't see any of you. Actually, maybe I can. Who knows? Look at how you're sitting. And be aware of your breath. Look at your posture. Look at your facial expression. Look at your breathing. And ask yourself, are you adopting the physiology of a depressed person right now, even though you're not depressed? Something to think about, isn't it? Because whatever emotion is created by motion. How you move your physical body is going to determine how you feel. So if you adopt the physiology of a depressed person, you will end up feeling depressed, even though you weren't depressed to start off with. So how are the ways we can change our physiology is adopting the physiology of a person that isn't depressed. Breathe into your belly. Right, sit up straight. Shoulders back, chest out. Speak with more animation in your voice. Even just your gestures, if I told you to do this, how does this feel if I say bring your hands together and then open them up slowly like this, and then just bring them together like that? How does that feel? Now, if I just say open your arms up like you're just about to take off like you're a plane or a jet, and if I just say boom, open up like that, right? Just do that real quick. Just open your arms real fast. How does that feel, right? Boom. You can really feel the change in your physiology, isn't it? Just from open your arms up like that. So wide, expansive physiology, like where you opened up your body, it changes your biochemistry and actually increases your testosterone. It increases your dopamine as well, and it lowers things like your cortisol, the stress hormone. And just doing that for 2 minutes, right? Power poses. If you can't even just put a pen between your teeth, if you can't really smell. Put your hands on your hip, the Wonder Woman pose, look up, breathe into your belly. Do that for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes at different times in the day, and you'll change your physiology. This is the quickest way of changing how you feel, is changing your physiology. Because, we can talk all day, but if you don't move your body, nothing's going to change. That's why I was saying, I know it's winter, I know it's cold. People start getting seasonal affective disorder, the depression coming in. Why? Because you're not moving your bodies, right? You're called sitting in front of the heater, wearing socks. Move your body, have more energy in your expressions, and you'll see the change. Energy, emotion is created by motion. So that's a very important thing to remember. And what is your physiology like when you're feeling empowered versus when you're feeling down? Do this for yourself. Now, if I was sitting here in a session with your coaching session one-on-one, I would actually ask you to demonstrate this. But for the sake of time and getting through the material, just do this for yourself. Think of yourself when you're feeling empowered. What's your physiology like? When you're feeling excited, when you're feeling determined, when you're feeling like I'm unstoppable, nothing can stop me. Think of a time, remember a time when you were like that, when someone gave you a compliment about how you looked, or maybe you lost some weight, you're just feeling really great. Were you hunched over, walking on all fours, breathing into the top of your chest? No, you weren't. You were walking on your hind legs like a human being, right? So I'm crazy, I'm sorry. You're standing tall, you were smiling, right? Your energy was up, your gestures were moving around. And if you do that right now, yes, people think you're an idiot, but you'll feel great. And then they'll feel great, then they won't think you're an idiot, right? So you can break the pattern. But if you just change how you physically move, be aware of that and catch yourself like, I'm not feeling that great. What am I doing in my body? Oh, I've been hunched down looking at my phone on Instagram for the last 30 minutes. No wonder I'm not breathing, right? I'm looking down. Let me look up. Let me put my phone in a mount, right? Let me take a walk. Let me just do anything to shift my body and get the blood flowing, and I'll change how I feel. This is the quickest and easiest way, guys, to change your physiology. I'm not talking about physical exercise. I'm not talking about any of those things. I'm talking about just how you're using your body right now. Even if you're sitting in a chair, and if you're in a wheelchair and you can't walk, you can still change your physiology through your voice, through your gestures, through your movement, all those things, right? Walking on hind legs. So that is one way. Do you know how to make yourself feel good? Right? Do you know how to make yourself feel good? I want you to right now make a list of 10 things minimum. You're going to expand on this list later on. I want you to make a list of 10 things that you can do to make yourself feel good. Why do I say this? Oh, Zen, I know how to make myself feel good. Or everyone knows how to make themselves feel good, right? A glass of wine and a cigarette and some Netflix. No, empowered ways of making yourself feel good, not disempowering ways. We don't want addictive ways or ways that are actually going to cost too much money in the long term. But what ends up happening with many people is that they know how to feel good intellectually. Everyone knows how to make themselves feel good. But when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed, when you're under pressure, our thinking brain isn't working so well, and we can't remember those things anymore. And we end up just defaulting to whatever is within our proximity, closest to us. So it becomes a phone and mindless scrolling on social media or chatting on WhatsApp. If you're looking at inexpensive things, it's not like, oh, I have to fly to France to make myself feel good. That's not practical on a day-to-day basis. Just 10 simple ways to make yourself feel good. Whenever you're feeling a bit down, then you can just quickly go to that list and say, oh man, I can do this, right? So here are some of mine, but it's not limited to that. Listen to music, simple way, right? Listen to some upbeat music, I love that. Reading and learning makes me feel great. If I learn something new, I feel empowered. Exercise is another one for me. Going on a nice long hike, I love that. Watching a comedy or stand-up, one of my favorite things. Remembering a pleasant memory, just closing my eyes for a few minutes and just thinking back off to a time where something funny happened, something empowering happened, someone complimented me, anything that's pleasant. I just go back and revisit that memory. Going through a deep coaching session, either me receiving coaching or giving someone a coaching session, that makes me feel great. Getting my journal, just doing a brain dump, playing with my nephews. I love doing that. They're crazy and they just, the kids. So it just makes you feel great. Taking your dog on a walk, right? Having a chat with a friend. Watching a movie that just really moves you. I don't know what that is for you. So right now, I'm going to give you 2 minutes. Just write down 10 ways of making yourself feel good. Is it taking a nice soak in the tub? Maybe getting a massage? Making yourself a nice cup of tea and sitting down to read a good book? I'm challenging. I'm watching you. Don't just listen to my. I know I've got a very beautiful voice and my face is. I can't stop looking at myself right now. But don't just look at me in the screen. Do this. I'm looking at you. I'm calling you out. This is not a passive session, guys. It's about changing our emotions. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you have a pattern of saying, I want to change this thing in my life. I want to feel this way. I want to lose weight. I want to make more money. But then you don't. You just sort of like listen passively to the information, but you don't do anything with it. That means that that's playing out in other areas of your life. So the pattern's changing today, guys. This is about emotional mastery and taking charge of your emotions. So do the thing that I'm talking to you about. Get a piece of paper or say it in your head. Grab your phone. Make a voice recording. WhatsApp yourself. I don't know. Make a list of 10 ways of making yourself feel good. Simple ways. You can come back to this list whenever you feel overwhelmed. Because do you think sometime in the next 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, you're going to feel some kind of stress and pressure? And you wish I knew ways of making myself feel good in an instant beyond just change my physiology. Oh, sure. Make that list, guys. Remember we said level 10. I'm watching you. Big Brother's watching. You got about a minute and a half. If you really don't know ways of making yourself feel good, then maybe one of the things that you should put down is experimenting with different ways or finding different ways of making myself feel good. And if you're making that list, might as well put a couple of new things as well, right? Maybe some type of music you've never listened to before, or something different. Trying out a yoga class. You want to expand the ways that you have of making yourself feel good. So it's not just limited to one or two things. The more traces you have, the more power you have. So maybe it might mean taking a long walk where you don't usually walk. You prefer to sit in front of a computer, try taking a 15-minute walk and listen to like a podcast or something. Podcasts, I love those, right? Or cooking a meal that you never cooked before. Experimenting that way. Okay, I trust that if you haven't gotten a chance to do it, you're going to catch it. Those of you watching the recording, you just pause me and do it. I know you're a leader, you're not a follower, so you are going to do it. And yes, maybe some of you are driving or you're doing something right now that you really can't. Yeah, just go through in your head. But when this recording is over or when this session is over, grab a piece of paper, grab your notebook and write that down. So the second way we have of changing how we feel is through focus and meaning. Whatever you focus on, you'll feel even if it's not true. Quick experiment. Look around the room that you're in right now. Look around the room and find everything that you can that is brown. Find as much brown as you can. Find as much brown, as much brown, as much brown. I'm also participating. I'm looking for as much, anything that's brown, just make a note of it. Find as much brown as you can, anything that is brown. Look around, look around. Okay, I see quite a few things, yeah. And, okay, when you can't find any more brown, just close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, I want you to point at everything in the room that is, drum roll, blue. Blue? You say brown. I know. Point with your eyes closed. No cheating, guys. Point the eye. Yes, point at all the blue things in the room. Right. Now open your eyes. I bet you see a whole lot more blue now than you do brown. So what is the point of this? Is that whatever you focus on, you will feel in your life. And I'm sure there's things that you looked at that weren't even brown, maybe like, burgundy, or I don't know what the paint colors are and all these things, right? But maybe found something that was close to brown but wasn't quite brown, but just to make yourself feel like a winner, you say, it's a brown thing. But that's true in life. If you're looking for the brown, the BS being belief systems, not the other stuff. You're looking for the brown, you will find the brown in your life. If you're looking for the blue, if you're looking for the good things, you will find the good things. And even if some things are ambiguous in life, they're not necessarily good or bad, how you focus on it can make it good or bad. So whatever you focus on in your life, you're going to feel. Whatever you habitually focus on, you habitually feel. Do you focus on the past, the present, or the future? Right? Whatever you focus on there, neither one of those is good or bad. But depending on what you're focusing on, are you focusing on good things in the past and learning from those things? Or are you focusing on things in the past that have happened that you can't change, that you'll never be able to change, and all the abuse and the mistrust and mistakes that you've made that you can't change? Are you focusing on the present? Right? Are you focusing on where you're at right now and doing the best you can? Are you focusing on the future and creating this new future? Whatever you focus on, you're going to feel. Are you going to focus on what you can do or what you can't do? Are you going to focus on what you're in control of or what you're not in control of? Right? Whatever you focus on, you will feel. So we want to challenge ourselves and train ourselves to focus on those things that we can do something about, to focus on those things that are empowering for us, to focus on those things that help us to move forward, not things that pull us back. And the meaning that you give to those things that you focus on as well determines how I feel. Because if you focus on something and you think of a problem or a challenge and you say, is life punishing me for this thing? Is God punishing me for this? You will feel like you're being punished. Maybe you're being challenged to draw something, to tap into a part of yourself that you've never tapped into before, and to just draw this sense of courage and faith and optimism that you've never tapped into before. And that's what the purpose of the problem is. But if you think it's because you're being punished because you're a bad person, then that's what you feel. So the focus and the meaning that you give to things determines everything. And how we change our focus is primarily through two ways. It's through questions and through our vision and our goals. I'm respectful of time here, so I'm going to go through this a little bit quickly. Years ago, I went I was in high school and I went on this pilot training program. It was a joint venture between SAA and the South African Air Force. So they're looking to get more high school kids to sign up into pilot programs. So I went into the simulator as part of the training, and they took us through how to land a plane. And part of this landing of the plane thing, this wasn't straightforward, as you can imagine. There was something called a crab landing. A crab landing is basically where there's a crosswind coming across and it blows you off the runway. So you're aligned to land the runway, but the crosswind comes at some point and it blows you off. So the crab landing, you have to fly into the wind so that you can align the runway. And then it's a very counterintuitive thing. It sounds simple as I'm describing it, but as you're doing it, it's like, but I'm flying off the runway. So the instructor taught us what to do, and he gave us instructions about how to fly, land the plane, gear down, flap down, everything. Cool. I'm focusing on where I don't want the plane to go. And as I focus on where I don't want the plane to go, that's where I steer the plane. And as I steer the plane there, it goes and crashes. As it's about to crash, the instructor grabs my head, physically moves me so I steer into the runway and I have a bumpy but safe landing. Did I learn anything? No, because we're doing this again. The second time round, crosswind comes, I start focusing on where I don't want to go rather than where I'm supposed to go. And as I focus on where I don't want to go, that's the direction I go in. And it physically grabs my head, makes me look where I'm supposed to go, and that's the direction I move. Because I want to watch the crash happen, right? Don't you always want to watch the crash happen? Ever had those slapping games as a kid where it's like, I'm going to slap you, then you slap me, and you take turns slapping each other? It's easier if your eyes closed or your eyes open. Because if your eyes open, you can brace yourself for the clap, right? But if your eyes closed, it's like you're constantly wincing. So you want to watch the crash happen. It's just like life. We want to see the disaster, right? But after a couple of times of this, I eventually learned, okay, focus on where it is that you want to go. And this is what happens in our lives as well. We in the morning, we focus on our goals. In the afternoon, we think about our problems. And the evening, we then worry about our bills. Is that we're constantly sending mixed messages to our brain. If you look outside the window, I'm speaking proverbially here. If you look outside the window of your life, you will not be motivated because what you see, the reality of what you see, isn't where you want to be yet. So the only thing that you can really focus on is your vision and your goals. If you look outside and you look at all the problems and the challenges out there in reality that you can't necessarily directly solve, it'll disempower you. Focus on your vision, on your goals, on where you want to go and who you want to be and what you want to create. And that's the direction that you move in. And it's not always an instant thing, but it's empowering in the moment. You might not get that shift. You won't create the goal or the outcome tomorrow, but you start moving that direction. It's going to feel more empowering rather than focusing on the problems. So that's the first way. The second way is to just ask yourself better questions, because questions direct our focus. If you ask yourself questions like, why does this always happen to me? Why am I such a bad person? Why am I such a loser? Why can't I ever follow through? Why can't I lose weight? Your brain will come up with an answer, because you're a pig, right? Because you've eaten like a pig for 20 years, that's why. You're a bad person because you're unlovable. Your brain will create a reason, and that reason will almost not always be true, because you're in a disempowered state. So ask yourself better questions. How can I use this? How can I grow from this? How can I learn through this? How can I start to change my emotions right now? And you'll get a better answer. So questions and having a goal, quickest way of changing your focus and your meaning. And let's do that right now. If you just close your eyes, just for a minute, I'm just going to ask you, what in your life right now could you be grateful for? You don't have to answer the question out loud, just feel it in your body. What are you grateful about or for? And what about that makes you feel grateful? What are you excited about in your life? Or what could you be excited about if you allowed yourself to feel excited? What about that is so exciting? Who do you love? And who loves you? How does it feel when you allow yourself to feel love? What are you happy about in your life right now? And what about that makes you feel so happy? And if you allowed yourself, what could you feel proud of in your life right now? Big or small, it doesn't matter. What are you most proud of? And what about that makes you feel so proud? What are you committed to in your life right now? What are you really committed to? And how does it feel to feel committed to something, an ideal, a dream, a goal, a desire, regardless of if it happens or not? What are you committed to? And how does it feel when you allow yourself to really feel love, a sense of commitment, to feel proud? Not ego pride, but real proud. It's only ego pride if it's not true. Excitement. How does it feel when you allow yourself to feel excited and passionate and love? And feel that in your body. Right, you can open your eyes. And do you feel a little bit different from how you felt when you started this? This is the power of directing your focus, right? Direct your focus, you direct your life, you direct your emotions. And the final way of changing how we feel is through the power of language. So your language, the words that you use to describe situations, that has so much power. How you describe a situation, how you describe it, becomes your experience of it. Two people can be having the same experience. One uses a different language to describe that experience, and because it's using a different language, or she's using a different language word, it changes how they experience it in their body. So if I say something to you like, imagine that we're doing a workshop something together, and I came to you and I said, Alicia, I think you're wrong about this thing. Versus, Alicia, I think you are mistaken about this thing. Versus, Alicia, I think you're lying about this thing. Wrong, mistaken, and lying. Same situation, but can you see how each of those words has a different emotional weight to it? If I told you that after this workshop, Nyaki's prepared some she's prepared some very nutritious and healthy vegan meals for you, what comes to your mind if you think of the word nutritious and healthy? If I said, I've got a friend I want you to meet, he's very nice, I think the two of you will just hit it off. He's so nice. Whatever I say to you, Nyaki's got these meals for you. She just made these vegan meals and they are delicious. They're just absolutely delicious, they're mouth-watering delicious. Or if I say, I've got this friend I want you to meet, he's delicious, right? It's different. Different language changes how everything becomes. So notice how you use these words that we use habitually that just take a situation and make it so much emotionally less charged. And these words that we can use that can make words more emotionally charged, both positively and negatively. So think of a word that you use, something like most common words that I come across are words like okay, fine, all right, and good. Good morning, how's it going? I feel all right, right? You might actually be feeling really good, but when you say I feel all right, you're actually lowering the emotional intensity of how you feel. So here's my challenge to you: speak that which you want to become. Speak that which you want to become. If you're feeling 50-50, elevate it and say, I feel great, I feel fantastic, I feel amazing, I feel phenomenal, I feel outstanding, I feel unstoppable, right? And by saying that, your physiology and your focus is going to automatically change, and you're going to adopt that physiology of feeling great. You're going to adopt the focus of feeling great because your brain will say, okay, what can I focus on that's going to make me feel so great? Oh, I woke up. That's something to feel great about, right? And it stacks. Same thing happens with the problems. Maybe something happens and it's a situation, but calling something a situational problem is going to add an emotional weight to it, that isn't necessary. Is it a problem? Is it a challenge? Is it an opportunity, or is it a situation? Each of those things can be describing the same thing, but the word that you use to describe it has a different weight, which makes you feel different. So choose empowering language. Challenge any negative self-talk that you have. Challenge any negative self-talk. Don't let any negative self-talk live rent-free in your brain. Something comes up that you don't agree with, challenge it. Even if you have to challenge it over and over again, it's about building the habit and building that muscle, and upgrade your habitual language. So for those words that are just very mediocre words, the words that are pharmaceutical words, the words that have just been pumped full of fillers and all these things, words like okay and good and fine, eliminate those words. Don't ever talk to me using those words, right? From now on, if you communicate, I'm not being too much. Take those words away. Take those words out of your vocabulary and you will change your life. Start using words like my word. If you ever communicate with me, you'll find that the word I love to use is fantastic. That is my word. Take 2 or 3 words and just start using them over and over again. How's a cup of tea? It was good, thanks. It was great. People will look at you weird initially. But remember, you're giving yourself a gift and you're giving them a gift as well, which is the gift of an empowered emotional state. Do you want to be the kind of person that walks into a room and lights the room up? Or do you want to be the kind of person who sort of goes with the flow? So when you start challenging that flow and you start elevating the energy in the room, there's going to be a little bit of something called cognitive dissonance in psychology, where it's like things are going this way, you're going that way, and there's this bit of friction. But if you're strong and committed in this direction, you will move everybody else and they'll actually be grateful for that. That little friction there is a test to see, are you committed to this thing, or are you just doing it? So change your language, change your physiology, and change your focus. When you do all 3 of these things together, you completely change how you feel. You change how you use one of them, you'll feel different for a while. Change how you habitually use all 3 of these things, and it completely changes. And think of teenagers. These are actually the best example of identity and energy and physiology and all these things. Most teenagers will start hanging around with a peer group, and they'll start doing what? They'll start adopting the dress patterns of this peer group. They'll start adopting this peer group's words. They start adopting how this peer group uses their body, right? The thing that they focus on, the things that they talk about. Eventually, they start feeling like how the rest of the peer group feels. Now, if it's a very empowering peer group and they're talking about positive things, they've got very great physiology, they play sports, right? They don't smoke or drink, any of those things. And they use their bodies in great ways, great physiology. They focus on things that are empowering. Eventually, that's how those things are. You might hear some mothers, after they've gone through a divorce and the kid is like around their teens, they start complaining like, he's just like his father, or she's just like her mother. Look at this thing, it's called the emotional child. They've probably adopted some of the father's language patterns, some of the father's physiology, maybe in facial features, and instead of adopting the father's focus, the things that the father used to focus on, they start doing those same things. Oh, no wonder, you've ever been around a person and they're so upbeat, they're so positive, they're so energized, and you start adopting some of those language patterns, and next thing you know is that you start to feel the same way as they do. Same thing, maybe you're around a person that's very negative, they always complain. Next thing you start focusing on the things that they're complaining about, you start adopting their physiology, you start adopting their language patterns. They call their spouse the ball and chain. You start using that language in your relationship. All of a sudden, I don't know why I don't want to go home to my husband or my wife. Well, if you're using that language to describe them, no wonder. So how you use all three of these things is going to determine what your life is like. So to round this all up, think of the future you, and the future and the past and the present is all these relative terms, right? Think of this. Right now, as you're sitting there listening to me, you're creating your future and you're creating your past at the same time. Because whatever you do in this moment, 5 minutes from now, is going to be your past. And whatever you do in this moment is going to create your future as well. So your future and your past is all created right now. You get to create your own future and you get to create your own past. That's an interesting concept. Think of the future you, the one that has all those emotions, the one that shows up with the boldness, the courage, the determination, the calmness. What kind of physiology does she have? What kind of focus does she have? And really close your eyes and let's really get into this. What kind of language patterns does she have? Is it very neutral, watered down? Was it empowering language? What's her self-talk like? You get a sense of that person. What kind of questions does she ask herself? And as you're sitting there right now, I want you to adopt the physiology of the future you that has all the courage, that has all the determination. Sit the way that she sits. Put on the facial expression that she has. Breathe the way she breathes. What is she focused on? The things that she can do. What's working in her life. The things that she's grateful for and about. Does she feel fantastic? Does she feel amazing? Does she feel grounded? Does she feel phenomenal? What would it feel like if you allowed yourself to feel that way right now? That's it. And let's take this even one step further. Get a sense of the perfect day. The perfect day. What does your perfect day look like when you're coming from this place? When you open your eyes in this perfect day, what's the first thing that your eyes see? What's the first thing that you do or say to yourself in your perfect day? That's it. What are you excited about in your perfect day? What are your relationships? Like your friendships, your work associations, your intimate relationships, your family, your relationship with yourself or your creator. What are the things that you're doing differently? How do you show up differently in the world? And what would it feel like if you gave yourself this gift right here, right now, of feeling like this whenever you decided to feel like this? Because this is the truth. You never need a reason to feel bad. People accept that. Then why should you need a reason to feel good now? Why do you need a reason? You can just feel good because you decided to. Feel great. That's better than good. Or feel amazing. That's better than great. That's it. Use your body, yes. Keep your physiology right. Keep smiling. Keep breathing. Keep your shoulders back. Sit up. And keep saying those things to yourself that are empowering. I am capable. I am loving. I am infinite. I've got this. I am guided. No matter what happens, I'll get through it. This is not the end. This is the beginning, a new beginning. And allow that to flow through your body. And you can come back to the room right now. And just as I'd said, make a note of where you were at the beginning of the session. If I was working with you one-on-one, would have gone much more deeper in terms of the changes in terms of physiology, focus, and language. But what I want you to do more than anything else is just to shine a light on those things and to challenge you to start practicing these things on a regular basis. So it becomes second nature. Catch yourself, catch your physiology, catch your focus, catch your language, catch the meaning that you're giving to certain things. And you will become the change that you're looking for in the life. Be the change. Know that you don't need an excuse to feel bad. If you wake up in the morning, you go to work, and people say, how are things going? You say, one of those days. People go, I understand. If people say, if you go and say, I feel so great, I feel upbeat, I feel energized, people say, what's wrong with you? You know, why do we question positivity and we don't question negativity? It should be the other way around. Challenge yourself and train yourself, just like an athlete, to put yourself in empowering states for no absolute reason whatsoever. And it becomes second nature. You don't need an excuse to feel good. It is your right to feel good. And even if you feel bad, you don't have to fight that. Give yourself compassion, allow yourself to feel. You're not feeling these things, you're creating it as well. You're a co-creator in your experience. And if you decide to, you can change how you feel. This is Zen, your transformation coach. I hope that this session has been helpful to you. I love playing with you. Thanks for playing with me at level 10. And you are the power and you are the magic. Have a fantastic week, guys.